All right, good Thursday, one and all. It's Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus. What's going on, Figgie?
Nothing much. Good morning to you.
Good morning to everyone out there. As All-Star break is continuing, obviously no baseball action last night. Caitlin Clark did not play for the Fever out in Brooklyn last night, and the Liberty had their way with the Indiana Fever last night with no Caitlin Clark on the court for Indiana. Let's do a little bit of baseball in terms of both the Mets and the Yankees, and in terms of what to accomplish here over the course of the next 2 weeks, because we are 2 weeks away from the MLB trade deadline, 6 o'clock on July 31st. Let's start with the Yankees in terms of Brian Cashman with Derek Jeter had to say, laying down the gauntlet, that it's all on the Yankee general manager, post All-Star game Tuesday night down in Atlanta, that he picked the Yankees to knock off the Chicago Cubs and put a little pressure on the Yankees GM. We talked about the comments from the general manager a week ago. What do you make of what do you think is on the to-do list for the New York Yankees with a sense of reality as well?
Sense of reality is a third baseman, a competent third baseman, right? And depending on what you're willing to give up for a rental, obviously Suarez is the apple of their eye, a guy with power, tremendous power at third base. Also, we got to see in the All-Star game above average fielder, even though he doesn't have a gold glove. That's always the standard. Is he a gold glover or is he not? Stop. He's a third baseman that you don't have to worry about when there's a ground ball hit his way, if he knows how to make those plays or if he's ever made those plays before, right? So I think Suarez is, of course, the one that they should be shooting for. Now, what the asking price is for a rental, that's going to be a different story, and what they're willing to give up. If you're in all-in mode, that means you're willing to give up something that, may turn out to be something. But let's go through the Yankee prospects that were, you couldn't, untouchables through the years. Have we heard of any of them in the big leagues? Have we heard of any one of them go to another team and be like, oh yeah, this guy was a prospect with the Yankees and now look at him, he's a superstar? I can't remember one off the top of my head over the last 10 years even. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't follow it that closely. But if you can remember one, shout it out. You got a name?
No, I can't.
Exactly, right? So all these prize prospects, these top 100 pipeline prospects and all this that you hear, and this guy's an untouchable. He's going to be an ace in the staff for years to come. Luis Severino is the last time you had a guy come up through the organization, and then Luis Hill, of course, and we've only seen him for 1 year. So I can't put him in a category of, wow, this is a can't miss kind of guy. He had a tremendous first half. He wasn't even on the playoff roster in the second half almost. Where you knew what you were going to get out of him. There was always some uncertainty with health issues in the elbow. Now look at this year. He hasn't even had a chance to pitch yet. So I think Suarez is the apple of the eye. Are there other options? Sure. But I think there's so many teams that are in it that they're not looking to break it down just yet. So that's going to make it a little bit tougher on the Yankees. Cashman and friends have to do something. And, of course, a starting pitcher where you're not relying upon Stroman or Cookie or, don't get me wrong. The kid came up and impressed in his first outing. Let's see if he can do it again.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. When you're looking at Cam Schlittler, he looked very, very good, and it did not look like he was worse for the wear and ready for the moment at hand. I think, and you did a good job running through it, whether it be, a competent third baseman, starter, relievers market is going to be fascinating. The question is that, was the gauntlet laid down by Cashman? What are the realistic expectations? How disappointed is the Yankee fan going to be if they don't necessarily go all in? Because I think they're going to be severely disappointed. I think it's intriguing when you look at what expectations are for the Yankees and what they deem to be, the lack of accountability you see within the organization at times. Long story long is, Cashman, I think is owes it to the fans to be super aggressive with how wide open the American League East. The American League is not necessarily the East, as the Yankees trail the Jays by 2 games. The Red Sox are 3 games out. It's great that Boston's involved when you're looking at the American League and you're looking at the American League East. I think it adds a little bit of extra, salt and pepper to the mix when you're looking at that divisional race, especially trying to add to the Yankee Red Sox rivalry over the years, which has not really been fired up all that much due to the ineptitude of the Boston Red Sox. But with all that being said is, the Yankees have to go out there and do something. The question is, what do they do, and how big of a move do they make? Because Cashman did provide it out where he said he'll put it at the desk of his owner. Are they willing to overpay? The Yankees in recent years, Figgy, have shown themselves that they're not willing to get uncomfortable in making trades. That they want to do deals that make sense for their organization. They're not willing to overpay. They're not willing to be super aggressive. They get concerned about losing the trade in the end. They don't want to fall short of winning the World Series and then have a guy end up being an all-star for the next decade for another team. They don't want to give up those guys. They have a tendency to hoarding the prospects and letting them rot away on the vine and then dealing them away for basically 10 cents on the dollar. That's really kind of been the Yankee way. So the question I have is, as we talk about realistically, do you think the Yankees will, win the headlines when it comes to the MLB trade deadline? Do you think the Yankees will have an aggressive next couple of weeks to add to this team? Or do you think it was more talk? Or do you think we'll see actually a little action?
These next 4 series will tell me which direction and how aggressive they're going to be, right? Because even the first 2 series, if after you play Toronto, right, what's the next 4 series that the Yankees have? We were talking about it last night on Sports Nation Nightly. And we brought it up on the
Braves. They start off with the Braves, right? It's the Braves, the Jays, the Phillies, and the Rays.
Okay, so that's 12 games. In those 12 games, a lot could happen. You're playing against some really good teams, and even though the Atlanta Braves haven't played well, especially in the first half, they got hot at one point and got streaky, and now they get a chance to reset, and who knows what happens, right? Say if, for argument's sake, devil's advocate, I love to do this to you. We've got they lose 2 out of 3 in Atlanta, right? They start out in Atlanta. Then you got the Jays. You got the Jays who have been tearing up Major League Baseball and on fire. Say they lose 2 or 3 of that one. Now say the Jays have won 5 out of 6, and now they're sitting back 7 games out of first place. Do you think Cashman's going to be aggressive?
Well, if they're standing 7 games out of first place. But let me ask you, do you think the Yankees right now are a playoff team in the American League?
I do. I really do. I think
we're going to go on the idea that they're going to be a playoff team. If you go on the idea that they're going to be a playoff team, regardless of how they get in, based on the modern day logic of MLB executives, is that it's like kind of a roll of the dice, right? So you have to add to this team regardless. Now, if they rip off and it's 13 games, right? It's those 4 teams, 13 games. So it's a 4-game set against the Rays. So, but if you look at it and, I get if they go 0-13 against those, then obviously we're not having a conversation. But if we go on the idea that does not happen, right, that they play relatively competent baseball, that
if they go 500,
whatever it might, however way you look at it. I mean, Cashman, he didn't couch it the other day. He basically said, we're going to add to this team. I forget, we're going to go to work or go to town, however way he described it, right?
Yeah.
Cliche was, doesn't he add to this team regardless? I think it would be massively disappointing if the Yankees, stand pat, because I don't look at this as a championship team, and we'll get into the Mets a little bit, but I don't look at the Yankees as being a championship caliber team.
Well, it depends on what the upgrades are, right? How much improvement are the upgrades? Are you in the win now mode, which that's what we thought from the beginning, especially when they started out the season. It was let's run away with the East and then beat up on anybody else who gets in our way. And now you kind of have some feelings of it's not as complete a team as we thought. There are holes. There are holes in the bottom of the lineup. The guys that are actually your starters and playing, the youth movement that we thought we were seeing a bump up in Volpe and a bump up in Austin Wells. We haven't seen that as of yet. Josh Chisholm's an all-star and moves back to second base, and you're going to get a third baseman. You feel like that can help you. Dominguez had the 3-homer game, and we'll always talk about that. But, I mean, he hasn't really, materialized into being that 5-tool player that you thought you had. Bellinger, hot, cold, Judge is Judge. I mean, the best player on the planet. At the end of the day, is that lineup enough? Is the starting pitching, with injuries and whatnot, going to be enough. Then that's the beauty of baseball, I think, in this modern era where you can see a team. But we saw this, I'll put it in perspective, just a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, right? It was the Baltimore Orioles who caught fire and then ran away with the division. But they made no moves at the deadline. They made the marginal moves, right? They didn't go out and get those bigger key pieces because they didn't want to lose any of the youth movement, lose any of the 6 left-handed power hitting outfielders that they had at the time. And it was like the same player that they had drafted over and over and over again from all the years of stinking, and they were finally materializing at the major league level. And now you look at the Baltimore Orioles, and they're sitting with all these same players, and they're all batting 220, 230. And you're like, well, maybe it wasn't a good idea to sit pat on these guys. The Yankees have a situation where this is going to get very dicey if they don't come out the second half and firing on all cylinders. And yes, you can make moves, but are you going to go get Eugenio Suarez as a rental for 1 year if you might be in a fight just to make the wild card?
But if you're trying to win it, if you're trying to win it, are you going to work on the periphery, or are you going to go out there and attack and get players that can actually help you win a championship?
Yeah, no, and you have to, and how early you strike is going to be it, because like I said, you can't wait till these 13 games are up. You can't wait till these 13 games are up to decide how deep you're going into the bag and trying to get the pieces that you need, right? So this has to be done, I say, within a week. Let's see how the first week goes after the deadline, after the All-Star break is finished, right? And they start playing. The next 6 games, I think, determine exactly how aggressive the Yankees are going to be. Yes, you need to add, but you don't think there's teams that feel they're in a situation that they should add? You don't think the Toronto Blue Jays should add and continue to feel like they're at the top? You don't think Tampa Bay always does addition by subtraction somehow? I don't know how they do it, but they always do it. And then you look at Boston. They've caught fire like nobody's business, and they got rid of their best player. So this is a wacky year for the American League East. And so would we love to see Cashman do something? Absolutely. But I remember when the Mets a couple of years ago, when they had the last year, I think, of DeGrom, where they were kind of right in the mix of that wild card. They were in first or second place only by like 2 or 3 games. And they decided to be sellers. And because they saw the schedule in August, because they had like 8 games against the Dodgers, 4 games against the Giants, and then like 3 more or 4 more against the Braves and the Phillies. And they looked at it and said, we could be 14 games out if we lose, the majority of these. So why are we going to go all in right now? It's not time to go all in. Let's continue to hope these prospects develop. The young guns like Alvarez made their debut. You had, a lot of young pitchers come up, and you got to see their talents. But it was like, why aren't they going for it? Why aren't they getting somebody to help DeGrom, carry the load here? Why aren't they getting? And they looked at you look at the schedule on the wall, and there's somebody in every front office that's the realist that sits there and goes, okay, win, lose, win, win. All right, we go, next 14 games, we go 5-9. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. So what are we going to do to prevent that? And are we willing to go even a step further, to jump out in front of the market, to wow a team to make a deal right now? Because teams are going to sit back and say, oh, let me get the best offer, unless you're the Red Sox and you trade off Devers for, 4 maybes.
Yeah, right. Unless you're right. But now the Red Sox have won 10 in a row, and they've gotten themselves back into the race in the American League East, which is going to add something to it. And we'll get into that next. It's Figgie and the Moose here on this Thursday right here on Pix 11 Plus. Welcome back to Figgie and the Moose right here on this Thursday on Pix 11 Plus. Marc, Malusis, Nelson, Figueroa with you. Make sure to check out Sports Nation Nightly on Pix 11 each and every night, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. And tonight we're going to be joined by the TNA president, who Carlos Ortiz will join the program live. They've got a big event coming up this weekend at UBS, so look forward to talk a little professional wrestling later on this evening. So that'll be a part of the conversation. And I think we're going to have a Red Bull player as well. Daniel Edelman will join the program.
Nice. We've had him before.
Taking on Lionel Messi and Inter Miami on Saturday night down in Harrison, New Jersey. So an action-packed show coming your way later on tonight. Figgy, we're hitting upon it going into the break. And, it does it does to me add a little bit of something when the Sox are in it, when the Yankees are in it, when it's the American League East. It's been a long time. I think really since the Red Sox came back from 3-0 down to eliminate the Yankees in the American League Championship Series. And then, all the success they've had as an organization and all of that. The rivalry hasn't been the same. The personalities have not necessarily been the same. There's no Larry Lucchino calling the Yankees the evil empire. There's no Boy Genius. There's Francona not managing the team. Ortiz, Manny Ramirez. You can run through the litany of players on the Red Sox side and on the Yankee side with Jeter and A-Rod and obviously Jorge Posada and Mariano Rivera and the great names. And we were lucky and blessed to live through that era of the Yankee Red Sox rivalry. Hasn't been one and the same. It's going to be fun if the Red Sox, if what we saw toward the tail end of the first half of the Boston Red Sox is real in the American League East. And you have the Yankees, the Jays, and the Red Sox all battling for the division down the stretch.
Yeah, and don't forget the Rays, man. The Rays are always quietly right, but everybody's like, we don't know how they do it. They're actually playing in a minor league field, and they're still continuing to do it. I said this about them when COVID came. I was like, the team that's least affected by COVID and not having fans is the Tampa Bay Rays. The team that's least affected by playing in a minor league stadium is the Tampa Bay Rays. They're just going to still find a way to go out there and play baseball because all it is 90-foot bases and 60 feet 6 inches from the pitcher's mound to home plate. And they play winning baseball, and they're finding a way to do that again. So they're right in the mix as well. That's what makes this AL East race so tight and so exciting. And, to me, it's something that the Yankees can't just worry about one team. It's like there's three. It's like the bully is getting attacked by 3 of the kids he used to beat up, and the bully is getting attacked and he doesn't know which way to look because somebody else is coming up from behind him. Somebody else is jumping on top of him. Every time he thinks he's catching one of them, there's another one that cut a 10-game winning streak. How's this happening in baseball? How are these 6+, 7+ winning streaks happening for teams other than, the Yankees and Mets? It's supposed to be easy, right? They're supposed to run away with it. And it hasn't happened for either of the teams. But I do think that it makes it very, very exciting. It makes every night where you're looking at the standings and you're like, oh my God, can they get some space? Can somebody find a way to continue the winning streak other than Max Fried and an occasional Rodon as a sighting? Those are the things that make it fun. And I think that Major League Baseball actually would prefer than the Yankees running away with a 110-win season and everybody else finishing 30 games behind. Of course, Yankee fans would love to do that, but all that matters is not just getting to the postseason, but what you do in the postseason. So setting yourself up by making trades and you have to be better. You can't be the same team you were to end that first half. The second half of June for both teams in New York were lackluster. You can't have that same kind of that same kind of mentality, the way that you played, the lethargicness, the lack of baseball IQ. You can't continue to have that. So hopefully the reset button was pushed by the All-Star break, and you get to kick it into another gear and see if the front office can help out as well.
Yeah, and listen, I think it's going to be fun down the stretch. Now, referenced it earlier on about Derek Jeter. Do you think, and Jeter's got a long memory. We certainly know that with, the relationship and how it fell apart. Now it's been rekindled with Alex Rodriguez on Fox. But do you think Derek Jeter took that moment on Tuesday night to kind of twist the knife to Cashman after, Cashman said it a number of years ago when he was hitting free agency late in his career, and he didn't want to play anywhere else. But if you can go out there and find a better deal, you can go find a better deal and go someplace else. And Cashman can get a little ornery like that, can get a little like that. We've seen that at times in some of these negotiations. It felt like Jeter, remember, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, remembered that and basically said, okay, well, I'm going to take this opportunity to put a little even more pressure on Brian Cashman and the Yankees because I'm going to pick him to win the World Series, and I'm going to use his words at his presser and say, well, I think the Yankees are going to be super aggressive at the MLB trade deadline. And if they aren't, then we'll all be surprised and we'll all be disappointed. Do you think Jeter used that moment to get a little bit of revenge on his former GM?
No doubt. Okay, no doubt. Listen, we talked about him and trading away Giancarlo Stanton. to the Yankees. We talked about, him acquiring Jazz Chisholm, and he becomes the poster child for MLB The Show, so that Jeter was in the game with him as an MLB legend. Talk about all the things that Derek Jeter can do. Derek Jeter is still one of the most respected players in the game. Even though he doesn't do a lot of broadcasting, when he says something, it carries a tremendous amount of weight because he's been there, done that, and done it again. I think for the opportunity to say what everybody is thinking, and this isn't just some fan on the street. This isn't Nick Turturro. This is Derek Jeter, who is saying, hey, you've been a unbelievable GM for 24 plus years. Times have changed. Like, this is where we got to see exactly what you're made of, and if you're made of anything, and put your money where your mouth is, kind of thing. And I was there for it, and I love the fact that Big Papi is still. I'm picking the Red Sox. They love their teams, and then of course you have A-Rod, who could be scorned by the Yankees and everything else, but A-Rod said the Yankees are the team to beat in the AL if the right moves are made. And that's the whole thing, is that they're saying exactly what every fan is feeling, but they said it on a huge stage. And literally you could see Brian Cashman being like, gotta be kidding me. Like, really? I need this as well. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we'll see how uncomfortable the Yankees are willing to get come the MLB trade deadline. Yankees aren't dealing from a position of strength when you're looking at farm systems. I think they're ranked in the bottom third in Major League Baseball in terms of overall talent and prospects to deal with farm systems. And the marketplace looks like it's going to be a seller's market. So it's going to be a fascinating next couple of weeks when you're looking at Major League Baseball, when baseball does get back underway on Friday. On Friday's edition of Figgie and the Moose, we're going to talk a little Mets baseball. We did a Thursday Yankee edition. We'll do a Friday Met edition. Hopefully everyone out there has themselves a wonderful Thursday. Make sure to check out Sports Nation Nightly later on tonight at 7 on Pix 11. Yes,
we'll be dressed up. We'll actually be dressed up for it.
Yeah, that's it. We'll be dressed up. For Nelson Figueroa, I'm Marc Malusis. This is Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus.